Welcome to Ross on a Revo Part 7, Transmitter Modification. As you know from previous videos, I'm using the Airtronics MX Sport 2.4 GHz radio, and its third channel that I was using to activate the Ross is a slide switch located on the end right there, and that to start the Revo, I would have to slide it up, wait for it to start, and then remember to slide it back down. Well, the problem was occasionally I was forgetting to do that, and the car would be running around for a while, and I'd say to myself, "Oh my goodness, I forgot to turn the switch off." So that whole time the Easy Start motor was sitting there turning and drawing down the battery, probably prematurely wearing out my Easy Start motor too, I wouldn't doubt. So I decided, you know what, this thing's got to have a momentary switch on it. So how do I go about doing that? Well, truthfully, I found out it was actually pretty doggone simple. What you do is you take the 9 screws out of the back of your MX Sport radio and pull the case apart like so. Be careful because there's a wire that attaches from the circuit board to the little warning speaker. You don't want to yank it out, so you just kind of lay it to the side. And I've already done the soldering and everything, so just to speed up time a little bit, you take the battery tray, which goes in between the two halves, and pull it out. And what you want to do is I used an old piece of wire from an original Revo on-off switch that I had left over, and cut and splice each end. Go to Radio Shack and get some real tiny momentary switches. I don't have the cap on the end of it. What the heck is it right there? You can get them with a red or black cap. You solder your 2 wire ends to the little micro momentary switch, and then where you want to wire them into on the transmitter is here's your 2-way slide switch. The very top 2 terminals. I don't know if you can see that or not, but basically the case is soldered to a ground, and then there's power in the center, and then when you rotate the switch that way, this is how the transmitter knows which selection you're in. So you want to solder it. I was always using the switch in the upward direction to activate it. If you have your radio reversed, you could go the other direction. It doesn't really matter either way, it'll activate it. So what you want to do is, and it doesn't matter which of the 2 wires you solder where, as long as it makes a complete connection, but you want to solder 1 wire to the terminal right there and 1 wire to the terminal there. You want to get a real low power soldering iron at Radio Shack, like 20 watt. Used for electronics. You don't want to use too hot of an iron, otherwise you'll unsolder your terminals in your electronic or your well, you know what I'm trying to say, circuit board. You can do damage to it, so you want a real low wattage soldering iron that with a really sharp point on it that pinpoints the heat just in one spot. So basically, like I said, you want to solder the wires first at the micro switch, and then here. And then before you put the whole thing back together, of course, put some batteries in your battery holder, turn it on, and see if it activates the truck. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn the truck on here real quick, and reach underneath here and turn on the radio. You can probably see a little blue light glowing on the towel there. And then grab your momentary switch, and yep, it's working. And firing the truck. The truck even started. Can you believe that? So basically, that's what you do for that. And then I decided that the best place to locate the switch was right there, and that's where, when the MX Sport was I guess it was an AM or an FM 3-channel radio, back before they went to 2.4 gigahertz. This is where the crystal used to sit. So there's a cavity there so that you can put the little micro switch in there without it coming in contact with anything on the circuit board and shorting it out, because you see you've got your wires that come up from the battery connect into the circuit board right there, so you wouldn't want to short across any of that stuff. So there's plenty of space in there. You drill that hole out so that it's the right size for your momentary switch, and give yourself enough wire so that it'll reach, and that you can pull the two halves apart if you ever have to take the radio apart again. And so I'm going to sign off for this part and finish putting it together, and then I'll do a part 8 to show the finished product. Alright.